The last time we were here, we talked about Daniel's 70 weeks. We talked about Nebuchadnezzar's dream, the image. Anybody remember anything we talked about? I know we've had a little break. We also looked at scriptures in 2 Thessalonians, where we talked about what would have to be taken out of the world before the Antichrist is revealed. Now, can anybody give me a synopsis or a brief summary of Daniel's 70 weeks? Can anybody give me a summary of Daniel's 70 weeks? Ain't nobody saying no.
I know that 1 week equals 7 years.
That's good. That's the beginning. 1 week.
70 weeks equals 490 years.
Okay, let's stop right there. Y'all heard Sister Riley say it. 1 week is what?
7 years.
7 years. And if you talk about 70 weeks, that's actually saying 70 times 7. So that's equivalent to what?
409.
See, in Daniel 9:24, the Lord speaking said 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon the holy city. That's Jerusalem. His people will be the Jews. So 490 years. Now there are 3 divisions. What 3 divisions am I talking about? The first division is what? How many weeks is the first division? 7 weeks. And 7 weeks is the same as what? 49 years. What happened in that period of 49 years? The rebuilding of the city of Jerusalem. Now this chart that I gave, I told you I want y'all to keep it. It's on the chart. You should keep both the charts that I'm giving out. All right, the second phase is what? The crucifixion of Jesus will be approximately 434 years. And I told y'all, you can clearly see that in the fact that the period between Malachi and Matthew is 400 years. Jesus lived approximately 33 and a half years. So just putting those two together is very close to that 434 years. Everybody see that? So if you're at the first phase and the second phase, which there was no gap in between the two, you have a total of what? 483 years, which is the same as 69 weeks. So in this prophecy, there's what? 1 week left. That's the 7th week. So 1 week, 7 years, right? All right, but that week has not happened yet. That's going to be the tribulation. So we are living in between. There's a gap between the 69th and the 7th week. There's a gap in between. And that's where we are, the Gentile church. Now, when will Daniel's 7th week begin? After the rapture of the church. And the rapture could take place anytime. That's what we were looking at when we studied last week, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. And we were looking at verses about 1 through 12. Remember we talked about the pronoun he for those that were here the last time. The he that will, now he that will let it. I think that's what Paul said. I'm not going back to the chapter 9. But the pronoun he in those scriptures is referring to the church. The church is what is preventing the Antichrist from being revealed. Listen, the Antichrist could very well be in the world right now. He may be a full-grown man. already that's in the world right now. But his identity cannot be revealed until the church is raptured. Okay? That can happen at any moment. Why study Revelation? We talk about scriptures that you'll be blessed. Some people teach that there is no need to study prophecy. That's against the word of the Lord. You study prophecy because prophecy helps to remind the saints and to help the sinners to understand that Jesus is coming in. And folks, this is real. Now in Daniel's prophecy, 483 years have actually been fulfilled. You can prove it with scriptures partly and with history. Historical records will show that this prophecy is very accurate. All right, on tonight, we're going to look at Revelation chapter 4. Revelation chapter 4. And I'm going to go kind of quickly with this particular chapter. If I skip over something that you just kind of wondered about, we will go back and we will take a look at it. But those of you that have read, what can you say about Revelation chapter 4, possibly 5 too? What's going on in Revelation chapter 4? You said a lot of it. Well, tell me something.
For example, John is seeing things in heaven that are taking place in heaven. And these are things that are going to happen in the hereafter, which means that'll be in the 70th week, or after the 70th week.
Yeah.
So he talked about the 4 and 20 elders that he saw around the throne. He talked about the beasts that he saw around the throne. As we go on, he would talk about the different horses that he saw and what they represented. So different things.
Horses. That's coming in Revelation chapter 6.
Yeah. Oh, you just talking about chapter 4?
4 and 5 right now.
Oh, 4 and 5. Okay.
All right. Now. Yeah. Now, what John saw, listen to this. What John saw was the heavenly tabernacle. You see, you remember back in the book of Exodus, when Moses first constructed the tabernacle, you know, it was a portable house of worship that would contain God's presence here on earth. And then when Solomon came later on, he built a permanent temple, which is the tabernacle as well. But here's the thing. God told Moses in his building of the tabernacle, he gave him a pattern of the tabernacle that's in heaven. Does anybody understand what I'm saying? Y'all remember what was in the tabernacle? You know, just for something very brief. You know, there was the holy place, the most holy place, behind the veil. Nobody could go behind that veil except who? The priest, and that would be the high priest. Once a year, inside you had the Ark of the Covenant. You had a menorah. I think there was one other thing. Showbread was in there, I believe, as well. No, showbread was not in there, I don't think. But anyway, what Moses put in the tabernacle, it was a pattern of what is actually in heaven. So John was given the privilege to actually see the heavenly tabernacle that included the very throne of God. Let's look at a few scriptures. Verse 1 says, after this I looked, and behold, a door was opened in heaven. And the first voice which I heard was as if it were a trumpet talking with me, which said, come up hither, and I will show thee things which must be hereafter. Now, this is literal, and what I mean by this, some people try to spiritualize everything, try to make symbols, but John actually saw a real door. It is believed that John was taken up through this door into heaven to actually see the things that he recorded. Sister Riley gave a brief synopsis of what these chapters talked about, because in verse 2, look at verse 2. Now, I'm not going to read all these scriptures, but we need to read a few of them to kind of get understanding. He said, I was in the Spirit, and behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne. And he that sat was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone. And there was a rainbow around about the throne, in sight like unto an emerald. John is telling you here that he saw God sitting on his throne. Now, to me, this is very important, because you got all these folks with the wrong ideas about God. People want to tell you that, the scripture says God is a spirit. And so, as a spirit, they want to say he has no shape, that he has no form. But they fail to realize that in the spirit world, spirits have real bodies. Their bodies are not human, all right, as our bodies are, but they are real bodies that can be seen, that can be touched and felt, communicated with. If God was to open our eyes now, that is, to let us see into the spirit world, it probably would frighten most of us. I feel like that's why he doesn't allow it to be. All right? It is very possible, let me say this, it's very possible that there are things that are here on this earth right now that you cannot see. There's one scripture in the book of Isaiah, and I didn't know I was going to go to the scripture because I would have looked it up so I could have told you where to go. And if y'all remind me, I'll find it later and read it. But there's one scripture in the book of Isaiah that talks about the moon. And this is going to happen, let me see, it's either going to happen in the millennium period or after the millennium period. So I have to go back and look at it. But this scripture talks about the fact that the moon will be, the light of the moon will be magnified to that of the sun. So nighttime would be more or less like what we see today. So what does it do for the daytime? That passage scripture talks about that the light of the sun will be magnified 7 times. And some theologians say that when that happens, you will be able to see things on earth that are here already that you cannot see present. Come on, KC, what's your question? You're not going to be able to get everything. The moon will be, the light will be magnified to that of the sun. The sun will be, light will be magnified 7 times. Okay? Now, not the moon. The sun. The moon would be like the sun. I'll see, can I find the scripture later on. But for those who just taking those, you missed, Sister Kate, if you missed something, what's good about Sister Amy Lee is taping everything. Like she's putting it on YouTube and Facebook too, I think. So you can go back and listen if you want to, if you missed something you know. Okay. I'm trying to see how to get on there. Yeah, but I'm trying to see how to even go there. But anyway, I think I was talking about this. I was dealing with the throne room. I was dealing with the fact that what you found. All right, she said that's Isaiah 30 and 26. So you can write the scripture down, Isaiah 30 and 26, and you can read it at home. Let's look a little bit further. In verse 4, it says, talks about the 24 elders. All right, it talks about 24 seats. found out this evening that these seats are actually thrones. All right? And because Finnish Dake says that the word seat is translated from the same Greek word that means throne. He said maybe when they, that is, those that will translate the Bible to the English language, may have decided to distinguish the fact that the other verse talks about God's throne, maybe from these 24 elders. They use the word seats, I guess, to denote the fact that their thrones are not as what? As high as God's throne. Who are these 24 elders? Who are these? Are they men? Are they angels? What are they? They are men. The scripture never referred to angels as elders. Alright? So they are men. And then you have to note too that the privileges that we will have as redeemed individuals, even when we talk about the saints that judge the world, that we be kings and priests, that we've been redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. Have you ever thought about the fact that Jesus died for our sins, but he didn't die for the sins of the angels? Angels sinned too. But Jesus did not come to die for the angels that sinned. And those angels that sinned have got to go to the lake of fire one day. They're not talking about the angels judging the world. Alright? So I want y'all to think about the privilege that we have in Jesus. So these 24 elders are men. Now there's much speculation as to who they're going to be. Some theologians state that maybe these are the 12 sons of Jacob. That's what some think. That is, 12 are there. And the other 12, they look at maybe are the apostles. The 12 apostles. That's one theory. The 12 sons of Jacob, the other 12 being the 12 apostles. We don't know. The scripture is not clear. But whoever these 24 elders are, they are some of the most respected men of all ages. Alright? Now we do know this now. Listen. We do know this. There's some prominent individuals in terms of, I say, ruling with God. Now, let me just say this, and I don't want to get to, because I definitely want to get to chapter 6 if I can, so I might speed up a bit. But you know that when we are raptured to go to heaven, we're going to be judged according to our what? Our works. And what are we going to receive for our works? Reward. Every man's going to be rewarded according to what he's done. There are going to be different rewards, y'all. Alright? Now, these rewards are not based on titles. So, whatever God has assigned us to do, we ought to do it to the best of our ability. And the thing that really is going to get God's attention is the number of souls you bring into the kingdom. How many people have we influenced to come to the Lord? Y'all follow what I'm saying? Yes, sir. And that would mean that the evangelists that go from place to place is going to get a great reward, because Paul told Timothy, do the work of an evangelist, which means that if you have no title, but you've been inviting people to come to church, you have witnessed to folks, you have prayed with people, and you've called these individuals to come to the Lord, great will be your reward. So we're to do what God has called us to do. Everybody understand what I'm saying here? And so there will be different rewards. Now we do know that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they're going to be sitting up pretty high, because Scripture talk about these men and what we call, and I can't think exactly how the Scripture states, but it talks about them being seated, which lets us know that they're going to be seated in high positions. And why not? God called Abraham out of Ur, left his home, went to a city. He looked for a city, the scripture said, that was not built by man. Foundation, that what? Abraham is considered as what? Not only the father of the Jews, but our father as well, spiritually. So you can see why he would have such a high place. And of course there are others as well. Now, verse 5, and out of the throne proceeded lightnings and thunders and voices, and there were 7 lamps of fire burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of God. Now we already talked about the 7 spirits that they're not. This is definitely symbolic here, because we know there's only one spirit of the Lord. 7 denotes his fullness and how powerful he is. Verse 6, and before the throne there was a sea of glass like unto crystal, and in the midst of the throne and round about the throne were 4 beasts full of eyes before and behind. The first beast was like a lion, the second beast was like a calf, the third beast had a face as a man, and the fourth beast was like a flying eagle. And the 4 beasts had each of them 6 wings about him, and they were full of eyes within, and they rested not day and night, saying, Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty, which was and is to come. Now, these are really angels here. The word beast comes from the Greek word zoa, which really means living creatures. So it's not talking about a ferocious beast. It's not talking about something that is scary, something that's going to attack you. I don't know why the translation came out as beast, but these are no doubt particular angels. And we do know this, class, that there are several different creatures that God has created that we don't know very much about. I mean, you think about this. Here is a creature that's got eyes. Look, that scripture talking about eyes in front. Didn't say 2, but eyes. Eyes in the back of the head. One look like an eagle, one as a cat, one as a man. Alright? They don't rest. They don't sleep. But all day and all night, they're worshiping God. Created strictly for worship. To worship God. Isn't that something? And they, around the clock, they're just worshiping God. So they were created to worship Him. Now, it seemed like from the scriptures, just like we were created with free moral agency, the power of decision, I personally believe that every creature of, well, I don't want to just say every creature. Now, I want you to understand what I mean by this. The creatures under us are animals, so they would not be included. But I believe that every other creature that God has made, basically, are creatures that God gave the power of decision. Now, why am I saying that? Angels had decisions and they failed. Some of them are already in the bottomless pit right now. Look at this. There are some other creatures we'll get to in Revelation chapter 9 called the demon locusts. The body of a horse, face of a man, teeth like lion, hair like women, you know, and they got wings to fly and a tail of a scorpion. That's a strange creature. But guess what? That particular creature is locked up in the bottomless pit right now, y'all. So if that creature is in the bottomless pit, that means that somewhere those creatures had to have sinned against God. Anything that goes to the pit or go to hell or the lake of fire, sinned against God. So they had to have sinned somewhere. So there's no telling how many different creatures that God has not made. Some things we don't have an answer for right now. Any questions, comments?
Yeah, when we talk about the beast, and he described what they would look like. One was like a lion, one like a calf, and then the third beast had the face of a man. We know what these things look like. So could they be so enormous, so big? That's why he called them beasts, because they're going to be so huge.
Yeah,
That's why he called them beasts.
that one pastor talked about his tail is gonna take out a third of the world.
Well, now that's another beast.
And now,
Yeah, that's not this.
She said the one of the nasty talking
Well, when she talking about the tail, is
yeah,
really
he had the tail of a scorpion.
yeah. But see, but you actually take two scriptures together. The tail of the scorpion is not going to be large enough. You said
Take out
a third.
of
Now, you probably referring to a scripture long down in Revelation that's really talking about the dragon, and the dragon is a symbol of Satan. What he did many, many years ago when he fell, a third of the angels were with him. I think that's what you might be referring to, because that's not in Revelation chapter 9.
the laying down.
That's not in Revelation chapter 9.
So it would be further.
Right, it's going to be further over. Now, in terms of you saying being enormous or being large, we don't know for sure. The scripture does not necessarily tell us what size they are. They may be,
That's
you know.
that's what I'm thinking. That's why they could call them beasts.
Well, now you got to keep in mind too that it could be. You see, you remember this now. The New Testament was originally written in Greek, and so some things in the Greek, some of those words had multiple meanings, or when you try to translate it over to the English, you could use different words to mean different things sometimes. Sometimes different words mean the same thing. So it could be from the translation of the original word may have something to do with that too. So we don't know for sure. Any other questions or comments?
that we say, oh, grace covers us. So it doesn't matter what we do once we have repented. And so as if we're going to escape punishment. But if God he didn't spare the angels that
Right.
sin.
That's what the scripture
So
says.
how can we think, people now saying, it's okay to sin. The more we sin, the more grace covers us. And so they act like grace gives us this blanket or this green light to sin. But it shows us even before we were created that when these beings rebelled against God, disobeyed God, they had consequences to pay. And we too will have consequences to pay when we disobey God.
Yeah, and these creatures, many of them had to have been created in what we call the dateless past. In other words, they no doubt were created before Adam and Eve. See, you got to remember that God does not have a beginning. So there's so much about God that we don't know. It's not even recorded in the scripture. Keep in mind now, the scripture, the Bible is not in chronological order. There are many gaps. Sometimes there are gaps between scriptures. Because it's possible that there could be millions of years between Genesis 1 and 1 and Genesis 1 and 2. That's a whole other discussion. We're not going there tonight, though. All right, let's go to Revelation chapter 5. In Revelation chapter 5, John goes on saying, I saw in the right hand of him that sat on the throne a book written within and on the backside sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, who is worthy to open the book and to loose the seals thereof? And no man in heaven, nor in the earth, neither under the heaven, was able to open the book, neither to look thereon. And I wept much, because no man was found worthy to open and to read the book, neither to look thereon. And one of the elders said unto me, weep not. Now here, you got one of those 24 elders talking to, weep not, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, had prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. And who's he talking about here? The Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David. Who's he talking about? talking about Jesus. He's worthy of the book. Now, this was not a book like what I'm holding in my hand, but a seal, where it's a book, it's a scroll, kind of a long scroll. It's got seals, all right? And in order to read the contents of the book, you had to break the seals so you could unroll it. Now, this book is going to reveal the future. It's going to reveal what God has planned and what God is going to do in the last days. I want y'all to keep your finger there in Revelation chapter 5 and go back to Daniel 12 and 4. Go there quickly if you can. Go to Daniel 12 and 4. So I want you to look at something here. Are y'all there? Daniel 12 and 4. All right, let me read it. Daniel 12 and 4 says, "But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book." Y'all see that? And what? And seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. God reveals some things to Daniel. That's why you really need to study most of Daniel as you're studying Revelation. God revealed a lot to Daniel that Daniel did not understand. And then what did he tell Daniel to do? Seal the book. Seal the book until what? Look at the scripture. To the time of what? The time of the end. Men shall run to and fro. But look at the last part. And knowledge shall be increased. What time period are we living in now? Time of technology. Knowledge is what? Being increased. Look at all this computer technology you got now. All this stuff that's going on. Okay? Even the fact that now knowledge has increased, theologians have been able to pinpoint and have a more accurate understanding of the Word of God. Let me show you this right quick. From Adam time to Jesus, that's the Old Testament, there's a period of 4,000 years. From about the birth of Jesus up to now, what year are we in now? 2019. So you're looking at a period of what? About 6,000 years maybe. A little more than 6,000 years. Now check this out. From the time of Adam to about the mid-1800s. And that's what? That's close to 6,000 years. Am I right?
Amen.
What type of transportation did man have? Horses. Carriages and horses. Eventually trains would come about. Steam engines for ships. And then as you get to the latter 1800s, you go to what? Cars started being, made. And then what? You get in 1900, cars became more sophisticated. Look how sophisticated your car is now. Your car talking to you. Type something in the car, it tells me turn left, turn right. But not on the cars. Look at this. Look at what you got. You got airplanes. They talk about airplanes going from one continent to the other in just a few hours now. We got ships. All of that technology from the mid-1800s up to 2019, knowledge has increased tremendously. That ought to be a clue. We are living in the last days. And now we are able to interpret the Bible even better, because the one thing that many theologians had a problem with years ago was, in order for all this to take place and the completion of Daniel's 70 weeks, the Jews had to be back in Israel. Now, think about this. 40-some years after Jesus died around 33 and a half years old. About 40 years later, when you have the year of 70 AD, Rome came in and destroyed Jerusalem. And you call this the diaspora. Jews scattered all over the world, basically. Especially in Africa, Asia, and Europe. All right? It would seem like these people could be scattered so until they would never make a nation again. Because most ancient nations of the Bible have disappeared. You have no Hittites, Amorites, Girgasites. You see what I'm saying? Those are nations we've studied in what? In the Old Testament. You don't have the Assyrian Empire, one of the greatest empires of the whole world. Wiped out. Now some ancient lands like Egypt, well back then still exist, but the Egyptians were never scattered all over the world. And the Egyptian nation population was much larger than Israel. Israel has always been a very, very small nation. And so theologians were trying to figure out, how is this going to happen? Israel is not even a nation. It would seem like Israel would never become a nation again. But even though they got scattered all over the world, God yet preserved them. Look at this now. We know about what Hitler did. Hitler tried to wipe them out. Killed 6 million. But see, a lot of us, they talk about Hitler a whole lot, but during the same time period, Joseph Stalin, a lot of Jews lived in Russia. They say Joseph Stalin may have killed 11 million Jews. They don't talk about Stalin like they do Hitler. Then you got Jews in other parts, other dictators. And of course we know this was the devil who was doing this to try to kill him, because everything God said he was going to do, the devil tried to stop him. So there were other dictators that killed large number of Jews. And even as in the Middle East area, the Muslims rose up again. But look at this. 1948 is a significant year. Why? May 14, 1948, Israel became a nation again. The scripture said, have you ever heard of a nation being born in one day? That's the scripture in the Old Testament. That's prophecy. Talking about what? Israel becoming a nation again. Isaiah, I think it's in Isaiah chapter 35, talks about the desert shall blossom as a rose. Because when they were scattered all over the world, most of Israel became more of an uninhabited place, a desert place. Mark Twain visited over there in the 1800s, and Mark Twain said, there's no way, I can't see nothing growing or any cities coming into this area. He no doubt had heard about the fact that the Jews were supposed to return one day. He said he couldn't see it. That was in the late 1800s. Now, in the year 2019, the desert has blossomed like a rose. Because Israel, which is a very tiny nation, is one of the world's leading exporter of fruits and vegetables that are grown in the desert. That's amazing. That is amazing. There are more, percentage-wise, there are more millionaires living in Israel than any place in the world right now, percentage-wise. Very prosperous. Because God's word is true down there. All right, so when you look at this and basically what's getting ready to happen, the seals are getting ready to open to reveal to us what's going to happen. And when you get to verse 8 through 13, it's talking about worship of the Lamb. Say, when he had taken the book, the 4 beasts and the 4 and 24 elders, so those 4 beasts and 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, having every one of them harps and golden vials full of odors, which are the prayers of the saints. They sung a new song, so they worship. Look at verse 10. In part of the worship, say, and has made unto us our God kings and priests, and we shall what? Reign on the earth. So that's part of the reward for the saints. All right, worship is going to continue throughout the rest of this chapter. Now, chapter 6. And this is really where Daniel's 7 weeks, I know Sister Riley said in chapter 4, but really, this is where Daniel's 7 weeks begins. Actually with chapter 6. What happens in chapter 6? The seals are going to be broken. Verse 1 says, before I go to verse 1, now what we're going to be dealing with, we're going to be dealing with the 7 seals, 7 trumpets, and the 7 vials, V-I-A-L. So like you're pouring out, or maybe V-I-O-L, I think. You're pouring out something out of the container. And all of this is the wrath of God. Now, the 7 seals, within the 7 seals contain really the first 6 trumpets. So the trumpets are in the 7 seals. So what we read about in terms of the 7 seals and the first 6 trumpets, these judgments are going to happen in the lesser tribulation. What's the lesser tribulation? This is the time that happens in the first 3.5 years. But if you keep on and you get to the 7 trumpet, within the 7 trumpet will be the 7 vials. And that, the wrath of God is going, that part will be poured out in the greater tribulation. What's the difference between the lesser tribulation and the greater tribulation? The lesser tribulation is going to be bad, but the greater tribulation is going to be the worst. The last 3.5 are going to be the worst that this world has ever seen. Now, listen now. You don't want to see the first part. Every one of us need to be praying, need to be checking ourselves, because you do not want to be here after the rapture of the church. Let's find out why. Look at the first seal. What's going to happen here? In the first seal, John said, and when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard it as it were noise of thunder, one of the 4 beasts said, "Come and see." So now it said, "Come on, see what's going to happen here." And this is what he said. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. Now, this is called the white horse rider. Who's the white horse rider here?
Satan.
Who?
Satan.
You say Satan? Somebody say Jesus? Who is the white horse rider? Yeah, verse 2. Who? That's the correct answer right there. The Antichrist.
Verse 2.
Uh-huh.
Verse 1 was the Christ.
No. Verse 1, the beast is telling him to come and see. But the first rider is called the white horse rider, and it is the Antichrist. I asked that question purposely because many people confuse the white horse rider in chapter 6 with the white horse rider that's going to come in, let's see what chapter is that, about 18 or 19. The white horse rider in chapter 18 is Jesus, who's going to be coming back to the earth to stop the Antichrist from destroying the Jews. But here, this is talking about the what? This is talking about the Antichrist. Let's look at a few things here. He has a bow, but do you notice he has a bow, but no arrows? He has a crown. He went forth conquering and to conquer. Now, you say he has a bow, all right, and a crown, but no arrows. In the beginning, he's going to be deceitful because he's going to come as a man of peace. He's going to be a very charismatic person, very good speaker, know how to get folks' attention. He's going to be highly intelligent, but he's going to be very deceptive. And once he get folks kind of, deceived, then look at verse 2, he's going to start fighting. It says, and when he opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, "Come and see." And then went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that set thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given to him a great sword. It's still the Antichrist. But what is he doing here? He's fighting. Wars. Alright, let's look at a couple verses that's going to tie in. Keep your finger and go to Daniel 7 and 21. Go to Daniel 7 and 21, everybody, real quick. In Daniel 7 and 21, Daniel said, I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Now, Daniel he's talking about the same thing that you read here, but he's giving a little bit a different take on it, because the little horn, he's called a little horn earlier, but this horn here, if we were studying this whole chapter, we're going to study a little bit later on, it's talking about the Antichrist. And in this scripture, it says he made war with who? With the saints. Which lets you know there are people who are going to get saved after the rapture. But he's going to make war with them, trying his best to destroy them. All right, also, in connection with that scripture, I think this might be a better example for you, Matthew 24 and 6. Go to Matthew. You've heard this scripture many times. We read it. We talked about it in the messages. Matthew 24 and 6. Of course, if you begin at the beginning of this chapter, the disciples want to know from Jesus, but they want to know about the end of the world. So in verse 6, Jesus said concerning some signs, he said, and you shall hear of what? Of wars and rumors of wars. See that you not be troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence, earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrow. Now, we so often talk about this happening today, and it is happening today, but really, these scriptures are really talking about what's going to happen at the beginning of the tribulation. So if we see these things happening now, what does that tell you? That tells you that in the tribulation, it's going to be much worse. So you're going to have what? Wars and rumors of wars. Because the Antichrist, what's going to be going? The Antichrist is going to rise up and start these wars so he can defeat people, because his aim is to control the entire world. Now, you know what he wants to do? What the devil wants to do? He wants to unite the entire world into one kingdom. And here's what you need to understand. He's already doing it even before the Antichrist make his appearance. Because what are they trying to do? They actually are trying to go to a one world government, one world currency, one world religion. That's what they're trying to do, y'all. And let me tell y'all something. I can tell y'all, the saints been praying, Lord, help us. Lord, deliver us. Lord, work this thing out. Now, God does not always tell you how he's going to do it. And he may do it in a way that you don't think he will, or that you care about. But I'm going to tell you something. I've been studying this thing. I've been reading these books. I've been looking at some things. There's a purpose for Donald Trump being president. Y'all hear what they're saying? See, some of this stuff is more spiritual than what y'all think. Now, is Donald Trump saying, I can't see it no kind of way. But see, I told that folk, God used kings, pagan kings, for his purpose. You can go read in the book of Jeremiah, God said himself that he raised Nebuchadnezzar up. King Cyrus, he called his anointed one. King Cyrus was not saved. You got your hand, sir?
Yeah, I have my hand up. You went to Matthew 24 and 6, and all that goes all the way down. A lot of times we use those scriptures to refer to now. But actually these scriptures are referring
Yeah, that's what I was just saying.
Hereafter.
Yeah. You can see these things happening now in today's time, which is still a sign of his coming. However, it's really more or less referring to the tribulation period, which means that when the tribulation starts, it's going to be much worse than what you see now. Much worse. But what I was getting to go back, if the devil's trying to unite us to make a one world government, and Donald Trump is trying to close the border, y'all follow what I'm saying? And he's fighting against globalism, you know, pulling out of some of the trees. I don't think that just happened, just be happening. God is allowing that to happen. So in my mind, I think that God let him come in here to slow things down, maybe for a while. Now, I don't know when Jesus will come, but let's suppose that we got 50 more years before he comes. The devil's trying to push this thing forward. It ain't time for the Antichrist to come out yet. But you can see what? All the makings of where these people are trying to go and trying to bring us into a one world government moved by the devil. Because what their plans are, you all, their plans are to take your money and less than 10% of the folks of the world be the elite and have all the money and everybody be workers. That's what they really want to do. The super rich want to run the entire world. Nobody have anything but them. That's the plan. That's why there's a move against the church. They say these folk who call themselves Christian, they gonna have to either agree with us or we're gonna have to kill them. That's what they're saying. And they're not just saying it secretly. This stuff is being published, y'all.
Amen.
Now, you're not going to hear this on CNN, ABC, and NBC. Now, go to verse 5. And when it opened the third seal, now down the third seal, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. The black horse, and you clearly see it in verse 6, represents famine. If you go back to Matthew 24 and 7, it talked about the last days about famines coming. Why is it going to be a famine? Well, if you got wars, that means that what? Farmers are not going to be able to get to the fields to produce the crops they need. So famines always come as a result of a full-scale war. Verse 6, it talks about a measure of wheat for a penny. Now, a penny back then was about 17 cents today. But 17 cents was, I think, at that time, a day's wages. So, what you made in one day, you have to take it to buy bread. That's because the prices increased so. Because what? There's a scarcity of food. So, if you got famines, look at the next, the fourth seal. In verse 7, and when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a pale horse. Now, what the pale horse represents? It represents death. They think pale means is a green color from the Greek word that's actually there for pale. And his name that sat on him was what? Death. So there's death that comes from what? From famine and the wars and hail. Now, there's different interpretation here. Was this a fifth rider? Some people say, yeah, this is a fifth rider. And it just said that maybe the name hell is describing the fact that you got the wars, you got famine, you got death, stuff is so bad, people are dying, and they're on their way to hell. That's one interpretation of it. All right? Now, if you don't have any question, I do read verse 8. And behold, a pale horse and name that sat on his death and hell, followed with him, and power was given unto him over the. Look at this. This is where I want to go. Look at the last part of the scripture. And power was given unto them over what? The fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. Now, you know what the scripture telling us? Many theologians incorrectly believe that the Antichrist is going to take over the entire world and that the tribulation is going to be worldwide. That is incorrect. The tribulation is not going to be worldwide, but it's going to affect the entire world. Alright? You know how we know it's not going to be worldwide? Two reasons. Here it says, what? The full part of the earth. That's dealing with the Mediterranean Sea. Y'all please remind me, get the maps and get the screen to show you the Mediterranean, show you the countries around the Mediterranean Sea. That's southern Europe. That's the Middle East where Syria, Lebanon, Israel, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, then northern Africa. Alright? So that scripture said the full part of the earth. But look, here's another reason we know it's not going to be worldwide. If you go back to Daniel chapter 9, chapter 24, 70 weeks shall be determined upon who? Thy people and the holy city. The tribulation is going to be dealing with primarily the Jews. Now it's going to spill over into other countries because it's in that region that the Antichrist is going to take control over. Does everybody understand what I'm saying here? But upon thy people. Why? There's one scripture in the Old Testament that gives you the purpose of the tribulation. The purpose of the tribulation actually will be to purge the Jewish people. Because probably over 60% are going to die during the tribulation. To purge them, to get them ready for the millennial kingdom. In the millennial kingdom, they're going to be doing what we're doing. In the millennial kingdom, they will be spreading the gospel. That'll be man's last chance to get right. To get each other to get on. But it's not going to be worldwide, full part of the earth. But keep this in mind. Do you think, as big and bad as the United States is right now, do you really think that the United States is going to stand back and let somebody like the Antichrist take over? Would we? You know, anybody that try to rise up now, we what? We try to stop them. We threaten them, don't we? We tell Rocket Man, we tell Rocket Man, you can't have no nuclear bomb. Who are we to tell another nation you can't have a nuclear bomb? But Rocket Man, even as crazy as he may be, he knows that you got to be careful. Because if he make the wrong step, Donald Trump will blow that country up. He may have a nuclear bomb, but he can't stand against the United States right now. So we tell other countries what to do. That means that what? Something is going to happen to the United States, y'all. In order for the Antichrist to do what he's doing. Now, he won't take full control of the world, but he's going to have control in other ways. Where other countries are not going to be able to really take it out, which means the United States is going to have to fall some kind of way. Am I making any sense with that? Yeah. Oh, I agree, Sister Marilyn. I agree. This country is in serious trouble economically. And you all need to be praying that God will bless America. Did y'all hear what I just said?
Amen.
Can I teach an economic lesson real quick? I know it's time to go. Look how you look at it. But how much money is that? How much money do we suppose to have? Let me say this. Richard Nixon was president 60s, early 70s. Anybody here remember what Richard Nixon did? Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard. He said one time, we only could print so many dollar bills. The money you print, the $1, the $5, 20s, whatever you got, was printed according to the amount of gold we had at Fort Knox. You couldn't print any more money than what you had in terms of gold. He took us off the gold standard. So when he took you off the gold standard, you can print more money.
But they make your money less valuable.
Yes, that's it. Now money is less valuable. Inflation set in because you don't have the gold to back up now. Now the thing that helped our money to be valuable is that the world recognized the dollar because we got a trade agreement with Saudi Arabia and the oil countries that we would protect your country with our military if you would only accept American dollars. So the other countries, are y'all listening to me for just a few more minutes? The other countries, when they buy oil from the Middle East, they have to purchase it with the American dollar, which causes us to have more value than other currencies. But over the years, we printed so much paper money, and the value has done what? Y'all remember what y'all could do with a quarter when y'all were children? See, that's what I'm saying. The value has done what? Has done what? Has what? Dropped. Y'all see that's just right a little bit. I'm almost finished. Has dropped. So we done printed all this money. It's worthless. And guess what the Russians, the Chinese, and other folks are saying? They're trying to convince the folks in the Middle East, listen, say, we want to get rid of the American dollar and accept our currency. And if they do, y'all, your money gonna do what? And this economy collapse. Because there's a statement that your money is, let's say, full faith and credit in the United States government. That's it. And if that happens, your paper money is not going to be worth what it's printed on, which would destroy the American life. All these computers, you folks have got these cell phones. Not only will you not have a cell phone, I won't have one. Not even a phone in the house. No satellite television, no cable television. There'll be no McDonald's. Probably no Walmart. You would have to learn how to fish and hunt again. And grow your own food. Did y'all hear what they said? This, you know, like, I want y'all to look at something. This is serious. This is why the church better be praying. See, that's why you study stuff like this. It really shows you the kind of trouble we in, y'all. And they pretending like all is well, but it's not. Right. Did y'all hear what Sister Amy was saying? And see, that is more prevalent among African Americans who are waiting for the government to take care of all our needs. But there are two problems with that. We don't spend so much money. You continue going in debt, you're going to run out of money after a while. Number two, when you let the government keep giving you handouts, it gives them more control over your life. Because if they give you handouts, they can tell you what to do. We're going to stop. We're over the time.